Hey, what's up, VC? It's Steve again, Harmless Rebel. I'm going to do a quick Record Store Day 2019 video and also a little VCLT I got from Scott Waters. Um, I pretty much missed out on Record Store Day this year, not by choice. I had a plan all put together. I was going to go to one of the local stores about 4 hours early, 3 to 4 hours early, and set up my chair and chill. That would have been the earliest I went out, and then there was one other store I wanted to hit. There were a couple albums that I really wanted to get, and then the night before, I got a call from a buddy saying, "Hey, you remember you told me you would help me move? That's tomorrow." So, like a month before, I promised a friend that I would help him move. Not even thinking about what Saturday that was. A month ahead, you don't really think about, hey, that's Record Store Day. So I was like, okay, cool. Why don't we meet up about 10 o'clock? And he was like, I can't do it that late. We have to meet up about 7:30 because he had already rented the truck and it had to be back by noon. And had we started by 10, it wouldn't have got done in time. So, and because of that, I ended up missing out pretty much completely on Record Store Day. We didn't get done with moving him until about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Luckily, I was able to get a hold of Billy Hurst, and thanks, Billy. I really appreciate it. I really wanted to get the Rockaway Beach single for Motorhead because there were only 500 of them pressed. So I asked him to keep an eye out. I knew I would not find one of those at 2 o'clock, I messaged him earlier in the morning. I wasn't sure what time I was going to be done. So about noon, I'm sorry, about 2 o'clock, I finally got done. I came and grabbed my daughter, and I was able to hit two record stores. One of them was the local CD Warehouse, which is one of my favorite stores to go to. And I was able to grab a couple of Record Store Day pieces, but not the ones I wanted. So there, I grabbed this was one that there were three or four things I absolutely wanted, and this was one of them. I was actually really stoked when I saw the list and saw that this was on there. This one was limited to 2,000 worldwide, but this is the Lonely Punk, or the Loneliest Punk from Fat Lip. If you're not familiar with Fat Lip, he's a California rapper on Delicious Vinyl. He was one of the original members of the Far Side. The Far Side, if you've heard me talk about him before, is one of my all-time favorite hip-hop, well, not one of my all-time favorite hip-hop groups, but their debut album is one of my all-time favorite albums. Unfortunately, the members slowly left, their sounds changed with each album, and I just lost interest. I did like part of the second album, but the first album was really where it is. I think it's one of the all-time, one of the probably top five greatest hip hop albums of all time. That's how much I like it. A big part of that was Fat Lip and his writing. He would stay in the band for one more album after that. The other reason I lost interest in Far Side was Imani had a very distinct voice, and he changed that voice in the second album, and then he left the band as well shortly after. And they were the two main guys behind the band, in my opinion. Regardless, he put this album out in, I want to say 2001, right around there. I can't remember exactly, and it doesn't say on here. It may have actually. I want to say it was the late '90s, but regardless, late '90s, early 2000s, he put out this album. It was impossible to find. The only reason I knew about it was because the song "What's Up, Fat Lip," which is a crazy, crazy song and one that I absolutely love. The beat and his rapping style are really off. The first time you hear it, you think something is wrong with the recording, or something is like it's playing too slow. But that's the way they recorded it, and it's really cool. But that was the only song. That's the only song off of here I know. I don't know the rest of the album. I looked for it when it first came out quite a bit, and I could never find a copy of it. And Now I looked on Discogs the other day, and they're all over the place. But you know, I hadn't really looked for it for over 10 years. But when I saw this was getting released, I had to get it, and I'm super stoked to have it. It's on. Oh, let me see. It's like a yellow vinyl with some black threads through it. But very cool. So I was really happy to grab that. That was definitely on my want list. This one I don't even remember seeing, but I grab anything by him that I run across. Him, Rory Gallagher, and Dwayne Allman. Anything that they were part of, I try to get a hold of. This is Come Taste the Man from Tommy Bolin. And this is a comp. Let's see. Various live shows, it looks like. Live appearances. But we got 11 tracks from just one of the all-time great guitar players. I think this one was on black vinyl, if I remember. Oh, no, I lied. This is actually on translucent purple vinyl. And that was done by Friday Music. And again, you can't go wrong with Tommy Bolin. I thought it was a little bit overpriced at $29.99, but like I said, I try to grab everything I can from him. So then from there, I'm sorry, and I also bought the David Bowie and Marlene Dietrich Just a Gigolo single. So that was the three that I bought from that record store. They didn't have much left. They had one box of Record Store Day stuff that had maybe 30 pieces left. And most of it was just the common stuff that I had no interest in. Then I went to Sweet Melissa, which is a record store I've complained about in the past, not because of their selection, because of their prices. They've always priced stuff $10 to $15 more than what the suggested price was for Record Store Day, and it's always drove me nuts. The reason I've always gone there is because they always get a huge amount of product. Usually they have, I would say, 10 to 12 boxes lined up of Record Store Day stuff, plus stuff and a couple other spots. You know, the box sets in one area, and they put their singles in another area. So they usually get a really big selection, and they usually have stuff for a couple days after. For instance, the last Record Store Day on Black Friday, I was on a plane and I missed it. I got to their record store about noon, and they still had 4 copies of the Typo Negative, which was the main thing I was after. No other store had them. They just always get a very large selection of stuff. So when I walked in, I only saw about 4 boxes, which really shocked me because it's only a few hours later. This is 2 o'clock. I guess it's about 3 o'clock at this point. So I asked the owner, and he said they only got about half of what they ordered, which never happens. They put in huge orders, and they only had about a 50% fill. And usually you find the stores that put in really big money, and they do usually get a very large order fill, and they just didn't. And I noticed that I went to a few other record stores yesterday as well, and I heard the same thing from everybody. Nobody got the stuff that they ordered, which is kind of crazy, because I know Criminal Records did, you know, and I know Fantasyland did, you know, so it's kind of showing that Record Store Day is getting away from the small mom and pop record stores, which is what they were really supposed to help, and they're sending all the money or all the product to the really big record stores. So regardless, so I only found one thing that I wanted there, and this I didn't even know was getting released. I didn't pay attention to this, but this is the From the Fires EP. Now I've heard a couple people say that this was already released on vinyl in their videos. It wasn't. They did release an EP in 2017, but the EP only had 4 songs on it, and it's basically the first side of this. The CD EP had 4 additional songs, so this is twice the length of the original EP that was released. So it's not the same one that was released in 2017. And I'm really glad they released this because I really dig this. I really like the cover tunes that they did, especially A Change Is Gonna Come. But this full CD EP was awesome, and I was really shocked that they didn't release it back in 2017. So it's really cool that they finally did. I don't know how many of these they released. I don't really care. It was like 18 bucks. And like I said, I've always been upset with Sweet Melissa. They jacked up. This time they didn't. Everything was what it may have been $2 or $3 here and there, but almost everything was priced about how I saw it at the other stores. So I was really happy to see them pricing right for a change. Because I know that a lot of people have complained about that to Record Store Day, and Record Store Day didn't seem to care. So, the other thing that they had, it wasn't a Record Store Day release, but this is something I've really wanted for a long time. I think Greeno showed this maybe 2 or 3 years ago, 2016, when this first came out. Greeno showed this, and I went to the website and tried to order it, and it was already sold out. So to see a sealed copy at this record store, I think I paid $21 for it. I was super stoked. But this is Germ-Free Adolescents from the X-Ray Specs. Just really good early punk. I've always loved this record. Like I said, killer album. If you haven't heard this, it's really great punk from '78. And this was released on test tube colored vinyl is what they call it. But basically, I'm sorry, X-ray vinyl edition, clear X-ray vinyl edition. But great album. So I was glad to get that. So what I just showed you is all the, minus this, that's all the Record Store Day stuff I found. One of the other things that I really wanted was the Crow soundtrack. That was my #1. Nobody had it. And I've already seen what they're going for, which kind of shocks me because it wasn't a small, I think there were 5,000 or 6,000 pressed. So I'm just going to hold off for a while. Usually when there's that many pressed, the prices go down. So, initially I wanted the Pink Floyd album just for my collection. I'm not really a fan of the first 2 Pink Floyd albums. So, I was disappointed last year that I didn't get the one last year, but it's not even an album I like. So, I wasn't really disappointed by that. The other thing, I went to one more record store, and unfortunately, he got kicked out of Record Store Day. And this is kind of another issue that I've had. And I'm one who's always supported Record Store Day. The people getting in line and buying the stuff and selling it online, that doesn't bother me. If you don't want that to happen, get in line. Most of the people that I hear complaining about the guys scalping the stuff or selling the stuff online are people that don't get in line. They don't get there early, and then they complain that they don't find what they want. And I get it. Don't get me wrong. I get you're upset about that, but that's just the nature of the beast. It's no different than what the record stores are doing. But this particular record store is a small record store. He's only open 1 day a week. He does small orders every year for Record Store Day. He does about a $3,000 or $4,000 order, relatively small. Last year, he got a letter from Record Store Day saying that they would no longer list him on their website because he wasn't a full-time record store. They told him you have to be open at least 5 days a week to be eligible as a Record Store Day store, which is BS because I know of 2 other stores here in town. One is only open 2 days a week and one is only open 3 days a week, and they are on the Record Store Day website. So I think it really just comes down to he doesn't spend a lot of money, and he's a smaller store, so they cut him out. They just took him off the Record Store Day list on the website, but he could still order the Record Store Day products. And then this year they said he couldn't even order the Record Store Day products. So it's kind of sad that's what Record Store Day is turning into. And this is the Record Store Day folks doing it. So these are the guys that are supposed to be out for the record store. These are supposedly record store owners, because I know the guys from Criminal Records were involved in starting it. The guys from Bull Moose were involved in starting it. So it's kind of sad what's going on. Regardless, I stopped by his store, and he had a couple things from last year that have been sitting there since last year. This is one of them I've been looking at for a while. I just didn't want to pay the price. These sold for $35 to $45, depending on what store you went to. He had it marked at $39. But he owed me a bunch of credit. I have a bunch of credit to his store, so I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and use some of my credit and grab this. I'm not a huge Ramones fan, but I love their first two albums. After their first two albums, I don't really care. It all just kind of sounds the same to me after that, from that point on. There are some songs here and there, like I Want to Be Sedated, that came out on later albums. I think that was their third album. But the stuff I really like is their first two albums. And this is the Live in Glasgow, December 1977. So this has all the stuff from the band that I really like. It's a really nice 2 LP edition. Is it? Oh, let me open it up. But this is one I looked at last year and just, you know, I didn't want to spend that kind of money. No, it's on black vinyl. Okay. I think it's etched on one side there. Let's see if it's this one. Okay, yeah. Oh, that's cool. So it's got the Hey Ho, Let's Go. I don't know if you can see it. There we go. So that's very cool. So I ended up grabbing that. So a record store day piece from last year. Again, I'm pretty disappointed that I didn't get the Crow soundtrack. That's really the one I wanted. That's really what I was going to go get in line early for. I also wanted the Saxon 7-inch box set. But most of the record store... none of them even got a copy of it. It wasn't super limited. I just don't think they ordered it, you know. So let's go ahead and open up real quick the package I got from Brother Scott Waters. I know what a couple things in here are. I may know what everything is in here. Not 100% sure. Very cool. So I knew these were coming. So as he generally does, I got a bunch of stickers and stuff. So this is Mass. He is going to be releasing Mass's very first album. I believe in the early 90s. Maybe it was the mid-90s it received a CD pressing. But what happened was they had a contractual issue with the label. And their actual first album was never released. So he has made a deal with them, and that's going to be coming out, I believe, next year. And maybe this year, actually. Maybe the end of this year. But so there is the new logo he created for that. This I still need to order. I've been slacking on this. If But For One, Detritus, which was just recently reissued. The Deliverance albums I did order. This is one of the Deliverance logos. We've got Recon, an amazing band. I'm actually going to be sending out, I haven't decided who's going to get it yet, but a copy of their CD will be going out to somebody because I ordered the a discount set, I guess you would call it, or a pre-order set that included the Holy Soldier and Love Life CDs and DVD, or CDs and LPs, and also a copy of Recon, which I already have I already have the first pressing of that. So not sure who that's going to go to yet, but that'll go to somebody. Love War, who I haven't checked out yet. Again, Deliverance, just an all-time favorite of mine. And One Bad Pig, who is a Christian punk band. Pretty comical. They've got some really funny stuff. But, so let's see what we got going here. Oh, looks like what I was expecting. So Scott and I did a trade. I'm sure you'll see what we traded relatively soon. Because I mailed it out on Friday. I'm sure he'll be doing a video for that. But I did a trade with him for one of the Mind Slave test pressings from Banshee. They did 6 test pressings. This is one of them. I've talked about this album, I don't know, maybe a dozen times in my videos. I've got, with this I now have every pressing that has been done of Mind Slave, because I have the original CD. Let's see, oh, that's cool. sent me another one of these. I'm going to hang this up on my wall. Maybe I'll put it on the front of my car. I don't know. Got the insert. And here we go. On Erica Records. So there you go. That is the No Life Till Metal Rocks Records Mind Slate from Banshee. So very cool. And then he also told me that this was on the way. This is I didn't have this one yet. I don't remember why I didn't end up ordering it, but I do have Warlord, their other LP that was done by Rocks. Come on. There we go. But this is Search and Destroy from Philadelphia. This was a release in '85, and this is really good 80s metal. Any of you 80s metal fans, I highly recommend grabbing this one. It's on the gold-colored vinyl. It originally came with the same picture, but it was very muted. Let's see if it's... And it goes for pretty good money, the original. I'm trying to think. Somebody has it. I just saw it the other day on sale for like 60 or 70 bucks. On Rockadrome, they actually have an original pressing of it. But the original pressing, this isn't it, but it was pretty dark. Or pretty mono, like a mono color like this. And these were, they put out a contest and let people color it in, and they decided which one they would use. And these are the other entries that came. So, but Philadelphia, like I said, really good 80s metal. Oh, and then the other two record store day pieces I got while I was out doing some looking for the record store day releases. I did run across these two, which really had me stoked. This is an original 1987 pressing that's still sealed of "Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me" from The Cure. This thing is stone mint. The corners are nice and sharp. Still sealed. So other than the little saw cut right here, this thing is pretty much mint. And I got that for a really good deal. And then this is an all-time favorite of mine. I have never even seen an original pressing of this. I have seen an original pressing of the other Blues Breaker album, and it was like 40 bucks. But this thing, the vinyl, is in mint condition. But this is the second Blues Breaker album with Peter Green on guitar, who I'm of course a huge fan of, and the vinyl is just near mint. It looks like it's never been played. There's a little bit of damage, and the jacket's kind of rough. But still, you know, this should have been a $40 or $50 album, and I picked it up for 20 bucks. So I did get some cool stuff on record store day. Just not all the stuff I was looking for. So if any of you ran across an extra copy of The Crow or know where one is at, let me know. Maybe we can work something out. But other than that, take care, VC. I'll get another video up soon. Bye.